Hello everyone, I'm Brian and welcome back. Let's go ahead and get started.
One by one we'll come. The gentleman here. Please tell us your name and ask the question. Then who was there next? You were there. We'll come next.
Hello, Swamiji. My name is Namit Gupta. I'm going to read the question that I have
Please
written
do.
already. After realization and knowledge of the self as Brahman through a combination of Advaitic inquiry into who am I, surrender to the divine feminine and Patanjali's Samadhi, it would mean that the person has transcended the fear of death. Then why do the preconditioned patterns of the mind, such as fear and insecurity related to worldly problems at the level of duality, such as someone insulting you at work, not vanish immediately after the realization? The second part to this question is whether it is necessary to continue to do more spiritual sadhana to transform these patterns of negative behavior in the mind at the duality of subconscious mind, and some of these inherent vrittis cannot be changed no matter what.
For the first one, again, I think I said that in the last video. Like I said, even though I understand and I realize certain things that people do, you will, at least in terms of me, that you will always be affected. But it doesn't last as long as it used to. You don't rage out in the world, and I will say, I'm assuming this is what it's going to say. When you come to realization, you won't be affected at all by it because you can separate yourself. Well, you can separate yourself from the body. So, kind of like, I guess you technically. Who said that? I believe it's a Swami that I reacted to just very few times, but I think actually Swami Sarvapriyananda talks about it, where the Swami said, "I'm okay, but this body's in pain." So this is when you become self-realized, that you can understand or realize that the body's in pain, but you yourself are not suffering. You don't let the material world affect who you are. There is that separation. So I guess technically speaking, you can be affected by the world, your body, that is, of course, your emotions, your thoughts, and all that. But so long as you know who you are, who the I is, you can make better judgments. You can again, actually, that's what I've been trying to say. The understanding portion. Like, again, I understand. I can get. I didn't honestly realize this, but I can understand people getting mad or making fun or calling bad names or whatever, and it does get to me. But I understand that, the person doesn't know me, or the person is hurt, or whatever may be the reason. And by having the understanding, it doesn't affect me. Strangely enough, in my mind, those two things are kind of similar, where I understand that I'm hurting, but I don't let it affect me. So that's to say that this body is in pain by emotion, but myself is not really. Although I will say there's still not quite the full separation there for me. Well, I never thought there was a separation there for me, honestly, actually. Huh. Okay.
Good question. So after you have a breakthrough, a clarity, a deep clarity that I get it, I know that I am this unchanging, immortal awareness, and the whole universe is basically an appearance within me. They are also not different from me. But after that same awareness in front of me in the form of my boss, and he comes and yells at me, and then I feel insulted and annoyed and hurt. And because he's my boss, I can't punch him on the nose as I'd like to do.
Should
So I am Brahman, but I'm very annoyed with the boss Brahman.
Boss Brahman.
Or my children don't listen to me, and I feel
Annoyed.
frustrated. Then what do I do? What do I do is different, but your question was, why do I feel insulted? Why do I feel frustrated when I know that I am the...
By the way, me saying that I understood it a little bit earlier, I never thought of a separation between me and the body. I've always thought of those two the same. Did I realize this before I started watching this videos? Yes, actually I did. Not as much. But I did understand that I was feeling emotional, and I try to understand that Why am I feeling emotional? Because someone said something offensive. Why did it say something offensive? Well, he doesn't know me, so he has no reason to. He thinks I was trying to offend him, or he doesn't like what I say. Well, I can't control that, so I have no reason to feel hurt by him. So I still feel a little bit of it, but when I reason it, understand it, it kind of goes away. But I never thought of this understanding portion is a way of separating the emotion from myself.
I'll answer this at two levels. One is the direct answer in classical Vedanta. What you've asked is a question that is a very old question. You'll be happy to know that Vedantins from the time of Shankara or even before that, they have faced this problem. This is called Viparita Bhavana. Viparita Bhavana, this is an obstacle in Advaita Vedanta. Viparita Bhavana means contrary tendencies. See, there are two fundamental problems. After learning all this, there are two fundamental problems which have to be overcome. One is called Asambhavana, impossibility obstacle. The next one is called Viparita Bhavana, contrary tendencies obstacle. You are asking about the second one. But let's take the first one very quickly. After I listen to the classes, I study it and think about it, I know the teaching. So the first problem that comes to me is this Asambhavana, which is, I know what you are trying to say, I know what the texts are trying to say, I've read so many books, attended so many talks, but I don't get it. How am I Brahman? This is not what you're asking, but this thing can come. So this thing is overcome by repeated listening to the teaching, studying it, and thinking about it. So raising questions, this is the stage of mananam, reflection, rational argumentation. Raise the question again and again. Your own mind will answer it. Your fellow students will answer it. The teacher should answer it. And there are any number of texts where you'll find all the questions that we can conceive of and many more besides, which we can never conceive of. They have been raised and answered satisfactorily. Once you get this to a certain extent, clarity comes. Now you can say, I not only know the teaching, but now I get it. I have made a breakthrough. It's clear to me. I get it. I'm convinced about it. It's fine. But after that comes the next question which you have asked.
So I'm assuming the first part is realizing that you are Brahman in short terms, basically.
Which is Viparita Bhavana.
If
I get
am
the
Brahman,
teaching. I'm convinced about it.
Okay,
it seems
never
right
mind.
to me. It's real. But
Knowledge.
I can't seem to live it. Again and again problems come in day-to-day life in the form of Brahman who is in the form of the boss. Or the disobedient child or the disappointing child or whatever. So, what do I do? First of all, why does this come? This comes because these are, remember, in the mind. Just as the physical body is conditioned. After enlightenment, Ramakrishna's body remains Ramakrishna's body and Swami Vivekananda's body remains Swami Vivekananda's body. The physical body remains the same. The mind also has its conditionings. And this also remains the same. And the enlightenment dawns in that mind. Now you have to soak that mind in that realization, that breakthrough. Once conviction is there, then you have to stay with it. This is the third stage called Nididhyasana, Vedantic meditation. So what we are talking about when Ramana Maharshi says, who am I? It starts like a question, Shravana. Then it becomes an inquiry, Manana. But then very soon it becomes a meditation, Nididhyasana. So like that, any Vedantic practice must ultimately culminate in Nididhyasana. Swami Vivekananda puts it this way, that tell yourself again and again that you stabilize in that I am that reality, I am he, soham, I am that reality. Until it tingles with every drop of your blood. What does that mean? You have assimilated the truth. Then it becomes easy to live that truth. You really feel that way, not just think that way, not just understand that way. It's an obvious reality. Then it will be easier to live that and then to go back to your earlier patterns of behavior. But there will be a phase when earlier patterns of behavior, they seem to go contrary to your realization. Now, a follow-up.
I guess because the old pattern is so familiar, so easy to understand because that's the way you lived your entire life. And this new realization, this new pattern is something so new that you're so unfamiliar with, you don't know how to use it or control it or live it in a sense. So it's so easy to deviate from the path or the realization until you continue to practice to do it and do it and do it, think it, and act on it, act on it, act on it. The 4 paths of yoga. And meditation would be the last portion. That's something that you have to do. That's the reason why you act upon karma. You obtain knowledge with Raja. Jnana, sorry. And then you devote with Bhakti. And then you meditate with Raja. When you can do all 4, I think that's when you finally can essentially probably, I guess what it's saying, believe in it, that the fact that there's no longer this conflict between your old realization or old path to the new one.
About spiritual practices. Why does this happen? In Vidyaranya Swami's book, Jivan Mukti Viveka, these things are discussed. What is enlightenment while living? I am Brahman, I realize that all this is Brahman. If I can live it and manifest it and get the full benefit from it, full benefit, transcendence of sorrow, establishment in Ananda, this ultimate bliss. If I can get that, then I have got this enlightenment while living, Jivan Mukti. Now he says, there are 2 paths to this. One he calls Kritopasti, another one he calls Akritopasti. Kritopasti literally means who has finished spiritual practices. What are spiritual practices? It's not only the Vedantic path of Jnana Yoga, but Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Dhyana or Raja Yoga. If my practices have been long-standing and sincere and hard, I put in the hard work.
Sorry,
Practices have been long-standing.
Let me rewind that again real quick.
What are spiritual practices? It's not only the Vedantic path of Jnana Yoga, but Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Dhyana or Raja Yoga. If my practices have been long-standing and sincere and hard, I put in the hard work, the cleansing of the mind. Swami Vivekananda puts it in this way. He says, the only thing that we can do is polish the mirror. If I polished the mirror long and hard enough, scrubbed it nicely, then when that breakthrough comes, I'll be able to live it very quickly. But if I have not done that, you see, if I have not done that, is it possible to have that breakthrough? It is possible. Vidyaranya Swami says, there is a group of people who are Akritopasti, who have not yet completed spiritual practices to a satisfactory level. They have been trying. Maybe they have been meditating. Maybe they have served people. Maybe they have devotion to God also. But not very deep. Not transformational. And yet, by the study of Vedanta, he says, by the grace of Guru or grace of God, or by their great good past karma. Notice he does not say by attending many classes or reading many books. He says that breakthrough usually comes because of very good karma in the past lives, or by the blessings of the Guru, or by the special blessings of God. It comes by that. People can have a spontaneous kind of awakening. It becomes real. But they have not completed the preliminary practices. The mind hasn't been quietened and focused by deep, long years of meditation. The heart hasn't been cleansed by unselfishness, no selfish desires for myself. The emotions have not been pacified and purified and sublimated by one-pointed devotion to God. They have not been done. A little bit maybe, not enough. Then what happens is, what will happen to this person? And Vidyaranya makes a very clear point, that this person, because there is a genuine awakening, if it's there at all, there is a genuine awakening, at the point of death, this person will get moksha. There will be no rebirth for that person. But, here is the problem. Until that point, this person will still be subject to the ups and downs of life. Ups and downs of life will come to everybody, but this person will still keep reacting to it. Because the mind is not fully established in the realization. So what this person has to do, Vidyaranya says, he will not get the joys of Jivan Mukta. The sadhus in the Himalayas, they know this very well. They have been cultivating it for thousands of years now. They very clearly, if you ask this question, they will tell you in one sentence. वो जीवन मुक्ति का विलक्षण सुख अनुभव नहीं करेगा. In Hindi, they will not get the unique joy of Jivan Mukti if that spiritual practice has not been done. But realization is there, a breakthrough. So he makes a distinction, Vidyaranya Swami. Tattva Jnana, realization of the reality. This is what you're talking about. But then there are two other things to it, two other components. One is called Vasanakshaya, the removal of desires, purification of the mind. Second one is called Manonasha, a very misleading term. It literally, if you say, it means destruction of the mind. But it actually means concentration of the mind, a deeply meditative, one-pointed mind. Now, unless the purification of the mind and the one-pointed of the mind have been achieved, the realization of the truth is difficult to manifest in life. You will know it. You will find it a struggle. It's not that you will not be able to live it. You will be able to live it also. If it's really there, it will manifest itself. But it will be a struggle.
So it needs to be stabilized in some
It needs to be stabilized. Now, how do you stabilize it? Then, Vidyaranya Swami, there's a whole chapters on it, 2 whole chapters on the stabilization. Jivan Mukti Viveka, they're good English translations. I recommend the translation by Swami Mokshadanandaji, Advaita Ashram publication. I knew the Swami, a very great Vedanta teacher, one of the few I would unhesitatingly say who was enlightened in this life. The only book he ever wrote. He translated it. So, I mean, there's other translations are also there, but I've compared. There are crucial passages where this Swami Mokshadanji gives a slightly different turn. It's available, yes, in Calcutta, Advaita Ashram. So, he gives a turn to it which directly shows that this person is enlightened. And the other person may be a good scholar, but hasn't seen the inner pointing in that phrase. This comes from that. So anyway, 2 whole chapters are there. How do you stabilize this? So basically what it means is very simple. All the practices that we have been doing so far, japa, meditation, a mantra, service to others, transcending our desires, all of those have to be intensified. The same practices continue, but there is now a whole shift in attitude. Earlier I was doing meditation for what? Mind will become concentrated, attain samadhi, I will realize that truth. Now you have already realized it. Earlier you were seeking, now you have found it. Earlier by all those practices you were trying to find something, but now you have found it. But now you're using those practices to stay there.
It was very self-centered in a sense, right? Like you're seeking because the ego wants to realize
But
it.
now you've transcended it, and now you have touched reality. But because the mind flickers, you feel that you're not settled in that reality. To get that feeling of being settled in that reality and able to live it day to day, intensify. Vidyaranya Swami says, the seeker does intense spiritual practices, the genuine, sincere seeker. But the person who has actually seen, has found, does more spiritual practices. Yeah. Now you understand why the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, who directly by the grace of Guru, by the time Sri Ramakrishna was there at the time, Vivekananda, Brahmananda, Turiyananda, Shivananda, all of them without exception, they all got that breakthrough and they realized in the form, in the Saguna aspect, in the different visions of God with form, and also what we are talking about, Brahma Jnana, all of them realized without any exception. And yet, after Sri Ramakrishna passed away, you notice, all of them without exception poured themselves into the most austere kind of spiritual practice. So, and they were asked, what are you doing? You're already enlightened. And all of them, each of them, at least in 2 places I know, Swami Brahmananda, Swami Shivananda, they give the same answer. What he gave us, we are trying to make it our own. What does this mean, make it our own? They've already got it. It's just that they're soaking themselves in it. They say, when you prepare Rasgulla, the Bengali sweet, it must be soaked in the syrup. When you're cooking a spicy food, after everything is finished, you just let it simmer, let it marinate. You put a lid on it. It's already done, but you put a lid on it. and let it stay there like that. It absorbs more nicely. Similarly, this Vedantic meditation, and it can be a long process. Yeah. And that's why you will find many of the greatest sadhakas, they are no longer seeking. They are found. They're just establishing themselves.
I read that Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi meditated for about 7 or 8 years.
After the breakthrough. He had the breakthrough when he was a teenager.
Yes.
He imagined what is it like to be dead, and he immediately saw he is beyond death.
Yes.
And he realized that he is the Atman. But after that, what happened? Long time in the deepest possible meditation. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when Sri Ramakrishna got Nirvikalpa Samadhi from Totapuri, Totapuri's teaching, after Totapuri left, Sri Ramakrishna remained like that for 6 months. Barely coming out to eat. He says, my hair grew matted. Birds would... So, that is tremendous. Most people would die if they tried that. But a kind of marination is necessary, establishing yourself in that. And that is the continuation of the spiritual practices you're doing. Holy Mother, Ma Sharada, put it in the most simple way. Somebody got mantra diksha from the Holy Mother, from her, and asked, I have got mantra diksha from you, do I need to repeat the mantra? Shortcut. Her answer was very interesting. My child, at the time of death, Thakur will come for you, Sri Ramakrishna will come for you. That's the way, a dualistically bhakti way of putting that you've got moksha. You will get moksha. Then she says, but my son, if you want to feel the joy of spiritual life, then you must practice in this life. Look, exactly what Vidyaranya said 700 years ago. At the point of death, this person who has made a breakthrough will get moksha. There's no doubt. This is the last life for such a person. But it must be a genuine breakthrough. Yes. It's not oh, I get it, and then after the class it's gone again. No. The sign of a genuine breakthrough is it will never go away. Mm-hmm. It will always be there. You try to forget it also, it will be there all the time. And it will be available to you at an instant's call. But even that is not full enlightenment. But she says, just like Vidyaranya says, in this life, if you want to taste Jivan Mukti, enlightened while living, that real freedom, bliss, that transcendence of sorrow, even in the midst of sorrow, if you want to experience that, then you must do that the other two components have to be completed. She simply says, if you want to taste the joy in this life, job korte have, you have to practice. One more thing I will add here, most very important, but I could leave it out, but you must take it carefully. It's very dangerous, what I'm going to say. Yeah, now everybody perked ears. This question which you're asking, genuine question, you must do exactly what Vidyaranya Swami has said or Holy Mother says, what the saints have done. Very good guide is to look at the lives of saints. But I must add, what would someone like Shankaracharya or Gaudapada have said? They would say this very question you are asking, is it a question that the Atman would ask or the mind would ask?
The mind, for sure.
The mind asks that question.
Yes.
I am not steady there. What is not steady there? Is the Atman not steady in Atman?
Always is.
Always is. What is not steady there? The mind. Yeah, I want to make the mind steady. Can the mind ever become steady in the Atman? Never. Ultimately, all the spiritual practices will bring you to this insight. The Atman is perfect, is fine. And the mind?
Dualistic.
Not worth bothering about.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, that question, I'll come to you. Yeah, that philosophy, classic philosophy, I think mind and matter. What is matter? Never mind. What is mind? No matter.
I've never heard that.
Yes.
I've heard mind over matter, but not what is mind no matter. It's a pretty nice one.
The what?
Forget the question.
Yes, please ask the question.
Reach an age
Uh-huh.
when if I don't ask question, I forget.
It happens to me. So you are. So, please, thank you very much. Please ask the question. You can ask that. I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it. Please ask that. Yeah, please go ahead.
The question is, sometimes the mind itself gives the answer.
Sometimes the question is, she's asking the question is, sometimes the mind itself gives the answer. That is true. That is true. But I'll add something to that.
The mind itself gives the answer. The only thing I can think of, if I think about it in the way I've understood it here, the mind is nothing but a memory bank, basically. And the mind gives the answer. Well, the Atman would be the mind always presents stuff to the Atman, and the Atman itself is the one that decides what the answer is. So the mind will always present options, the Atman will choose the answer. Is that it? Because, again, a long time ago they were explaining that the Atman it's just nothing, it's just a void, nothingness, and the mind presents the Atman with things, thoughts, expressions, emotions, actions, whatever it may be, and then the Atman decides upon those impressions to whether to do or not to do. It answers, I want to do this, I want to kick, I want to play football, I want to eat, I want to sleep, I want to drive, I want to go shopping.
Even when the mind gives the answer, it's good to know, to check, to verify from a teacher or a text. I get the answer, but if I find the same answer in Kathamrita, if I find the same answer in Vidyaranya Swami, oh good. You feel, yes, that's right.
Also in the Bible.
Yes, in the Bible, in the Quran, wherever, in the great teachings, in Buddhism, you find echoes of this everywhere in the highest teachings of the different religions of the world. You find the same thing. I don't know if she will be mad at me for pointing this out, but we have a very distinguished visitor in our midst today, Justice Ruma Pal. She was in. Oh, all right, she's mad at me now. Yeah, embarrassed. But all right, but you are at an age where you shouldn't be embarrassed. So you're above that now. Now, she was one of the first women judges of the Supreme Court. The third one. So imagine something like Ruth Bader Ginsburg of India. So you're visiting for a conference.
Yes,
Oh.
at lecture at UPenn.
So welcome to you, and thank you for the question. Can we have a question from the internet audience? You wanted to ask a question? All right, please come. Tell us your name.
আমার নাম মৌ অ্যান্ড আমি বাংলায় জিজ্ঞেস করছি
ঠিক আছে।
প্রণাম স্বামীজি।
So she'll ask in Bengali, I'll translate for you, and yes, you can ask.
স্বামীজি আমার মন্ত্র হয়ে গেছে।
Don't tell mantra in front of that is secret, yes.
কিন্তু আমি আপনার বৈদান্তিক মেডিটেশনের ভিডিওগুলো দেখেছি, এই প্রথম আমি এখানে এসেছি আপনার সাথে মিট করতে। তাতে আমি দেখেছি ওমটা প্রলং করে বলা হচ্ছে এবং সেটাই মেডিটেশন, কিন্তু আমার মন্ত্র লম্বা মন্ত্র।
You're coming perilously close to don't talk about the mantra, don't talk about the time out. What is the question? Don't mention the mantra, don't mention your inner spiritual experiences.
You know why? Because basically everyone has the same mantra.
In many cases, yes, many cases. So don't mention it, yeah.
Why not mention it? Kind of confused as to why there is like a bad thing, or it's kind of weird. I mean, it'd be nice to share experiences, maybe it can help some people out, and like maybe if they're stuck somewhere, I guess. But I'm just curious as to why.
তাহলে আমি কিভাবে আমার এই লম্বা মন্ত্রটাকে ফিট করব তার মধ্যে?
All right. So what Mo is asking you from Calgary. What Mo is asking is, I've been initiated, I've got a mantra from a guru, but now we listen to the Vedanta teachings, and we've also heard a little bit about Vedantic meditation. For example, today, one way, there's the prolonged chanting of Om with the meaning. That's not the only Vedantic meditation. There are many techniques. So, but how do I fit that with what I've been taught? She's asking. So Guru has given a mantra and an Ishta Devata, chosen deity, and a way to practice. So all that has been given when I've been initiated. So it's a good question. Many people have that question, especially when they listen to Advaitic teachings. How do I fit it? How do I fit these two? My answer is don't. For God's sake, don't fit. What the Guru has said, Guru ja bolechen, I'll tell you in Bengali, Guru ja bolechen, যে মন্ত্র দিয়েছেন আর যেভাবে ধ্যান করতে বলেছেন সেটা অক্ষুণ্ণ থাকবে, ওই রকম থাকবে, যেমনটি বলেছেন তেমনটি করে যাবে। ডোন্ট ট্রাই টু, এটার সঙ্গে ওটাকে মেশাবেন না। বেদান্তের যে আমাদের শ্রবণ মনন নিধিধ্যাসন আলাদা। ওই যে সকাল সন্ধে বসছি আমি গুরুর মন্ত্র ইষ্ট নিয়ে, ওটা কিন্তু একদম ডিস্টার্ব করতে নেই। ওটা যেমন বলেছেন তেমন। কিপ দিস টু কম্পার্টমেন্টালাইজড, দুটো আলাদা। তো let me translate what I just said to her, because many people have this question. The answer is, if you have been initiated in a particular worship tradition, meditation and devotional tradition, like in the Ramakrishna order or other, if you have a guru who has given you the teaching, keep it sacrosanct. Don't meddle with it. Don't improve it. After every lecture that I hear, I'm upgrading, like your phone. Downloading, uploading, upgrading the different apps. Yes, I've upgraded my mantra app and my every 2 days. Never. You're asking for disaster.
Keep it traditional.
Always keep that exactly as it is. That's why Guru, mantra, these are based on Shraddha. It's your direct link to God. It's mystical. Don't fiddle with it. It's not a box you can open and change the settings every time. No. So as it is given, keep on practicing. So am I going to compartmentalize my spiritual practices? Only practically so. But ultimately, no. When you dwell upon Vedanta, when you listen to these talks and read the text and even practice the meditation once in a while, you will only strengthen your core spiritual practice. You begin to see the reality behind that. ওইটার সত্যতা তখন বোধ হবে এই বেদান্ত করলে। দুটো আলাদা নয়, কিন্তু প্র্যাকটিসে দুটোকে আলাদা রাখতে হবে। ওই গুরুর দেওয়া মন্ত্র আর ইষ্ট কখনো ডিস্টার্ব করতে নেই। In computers there is a word called firewall. So it's isolated from the rest of the environment. Viruses cannot get into it, or upgrades can't get into it. So you have to firewall it. So that remains with you. And that's a core practice that will continue till the end of life. There will come a time when the two will merge. It will come automatically. You don't have to do anything about it. Don't fiddle with it. Don't try to change it. I'll tell you, one of the few monks whom I know, I feel very strongly that they were enlightened, Nirmuktanandaji, Upen Maharaj, who lived to the age of 102, I think, or 101. When I asked him, when he was nearly 100 years old, he was a disciple of Swami Shivanandaji. He was in Belur Math. He was sitting in the temple of Ma Sharada there, which faces the Ganga. Now, what had happened was, I won't tell you the whole story, it's a long one. But there's one specific question, let me tell you, and that's related to yours. So I said exactly this question. I said, Swami, the Guru has given me an Ishta Devata, the form of God I'm supposed to meditate on and love and pray to, and a mantra given by the Guru. That's one thing. So there's a form and a mantra and a practice. And we are studying Upanishads, the Gita and the Brahma Sutras and all these Vedantic texts, and where they talk about one existence consciousness bliss, an impersonal reality, which has to be realized, not repeated or visualized or meditated. What is the connection between that impersonal Atman and the personal God which Guru has taught us? What is the connection? And his answer was this. I'll translate the exact words, make of it what you will. Do you think they are two? And he said, do you think that the Ishta Devata, the chosen God, is only here? It is here, there and everywhere. And then he said, Aki ache, there's only one reality. Then he repeated to me, he had served Swami Akhandanandaji. So what Swami Akhandananda had told him and what Sri Ramakrishna has said to Swami Akhandananda and other direct disciples. I'll tell you the exact bingo, it's like a mantra, and it's a direct answer to your question. Jejar Ishto Shetar Atma. What your Ishta Devata is, what as the Guru has taught you, that is the Atman. Only the Atman as pure consciousness awareness. There's no form. There's no objective thing that you can hold on to. So a divine name and form is added. And then you're given a practice. But literally, though we don't understand it, they seem to be two different things to our minds. Remember this and take it on faith. Ishraddhate neven jejar ishto shetaratma. So your Ishta Devata as given by the Guru with the mantra is exactly the Atman of the Vedanta. Take it on faith and at one time it will become clear. Very good. One question.
Okay, I couldn't exactly speak very much just because that's mostly stories and just information that wasn't really questions. But again, I guess my question here is the fact that I'm guessing maybe it's something very special to her that the Guru gave to her that should not be said because maybe people of her faith or whatever she's following, faith or teachings or way of life, is something that's maybe kind of unique to her or they're following, and only certain people will know it, I'm guessing. Maybe that's the reason why? Anyways, I'm not sure, but I'm going to pause you right here because I want to make sure there's at least a few minutes on the last part, because right now it looks like there's about 30 minutes left and I don't have enough time just in case I talk a lot. So the end of part 2, part 3, tomorrow. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next vid.